Good afternoon to the Department of Behavioral Health's weekly update. Today we're going to cover both COVID-19 and the Creek Fire. As if we didn't have enough disasters to deal with, we now are having to deal with a fire. I will tell you a little more about that fire in a bit, but I do want to go through our typical COVID update first. A reminder again that September is both Suicide Prevention Awareness Month as well as Recovery Month. And you can go on our website, fresnocares.org, or the county's website for substance use disorders for our recovery activities. All right, COVID continues to march on across the world, in our nation, in our state, and in our county. Just under 28 million people across the world have acquired COVID, and now over 905,000 have died of COVID. In the United States, we're at 6.38 million individuals with COVID, and a little over 191,000 have died of COVID. I am happy to report in the state of California, we are one of the areas, including our county, where we're seeing the trends continue downward. We reported on that last week. We now have 739,527 cases, 13,841 deaths in the state. But of note, our positivity rate, which remember is one of the indicators that will guide us towards reopening, is down from 6% to 5.3%, which is good news for the state of California. In the county, we're now at 26,724 cases and 326 deaths. And for hospitalizations, a really nice decline in our trend. If you'll recall, a couple of weeks ago, we still had 230 hospitalized, and now we're down to 133, so almost a drop of 100 individuals in the hospital, 30 in the ICU, a really nice decline there as well, and now 29 ICU beds available. All really, really positive trends for us. We were worried about the Labor Day weekend. If you'll recall, last week we talked about how we saw spikes after both Memorial Day and July 4th, so we'll be watching that very, very closely over the next several weeks. This is a little complicated slide, so I'll walk you through it. The top part just reviews again those new tiers that the state has set that really focuses on the number of new cases as well as the positivity rate. We're in the worst tier, the widespread tier right now, the purple tier, where we have more than 7 cases per 100,000 people daily, and that is 70 cases for us a day, and a positivity rate over 8%. I will tell you, if you look at the chart down below, we're at 12.6 of the case rate, and our positivity, last I heard, is down to 9.8%. So that's a lot better than the 13, almost 14% we had a few weeks ago, but we'll need to get below 8% and down below 7 to get out of the purple tier into the red tier, and we'll need to stay there for 3 weeks in order to get to the red tier. So we're trending in the right direction, barring any negative consequences of Labor Day. We can hope to see those trends continue, but those are things we'll be watching. So Friday night, we had a fire start in the Big Creek area of the Sierra Nevadas above us between Shaver Lake and Huntington Lake. The map on your left shows the Creek Fire as of this afternoon. The center area is the area that has largely burned. The outer areas are the areas that it is spreading. We do not have containment at this point, although the weather conditions right now are more favorable. We had what was called a red flag warning over the last few days, which means a combination of things from the temperature to humidity to wind direction that made it really hard. I will tell you that The county's response has been phenomenal. Kind of an interesting note, about 18 months ago, as part of our disaster response planning, I sat in this very room with individuals from across the county and our collaborating agencies, including CAL FIRE, where we did what's called a tabletop exercise or a practice drill around a fire occurring in the Shaver Lake area over a holiday weekend. That drill was actually predicted over July 4th weekend, and it predicted that there would be people at summer camps and camping and lots of holiday activities. And so the work that was done in preparation was really perfectly done in order to do our very best with this terrible, terrible fire. The other thing that was done, and I really give Dave Palmaville, the Director of Public Health, and his teams at Public Health, as well as Steve White's teams at Public Works, and a lot of other departments, including Mark Johnson and CAL FIRE. Over the last couple of years, they've done a tremendous amount of work in those areas to remove dead trees, create fire lines, remove debris and brush, and really monitor all of the structures in the area to ensure that they had done their part to be as protected as possible from a fire. However, once it hits, it is really a power unto itself. And what I've heard on a lot of the calls with CAL FIRE is that the extreme fire behavior seen in the Creek Fire really has been beyond anything they've seen. And so this fire spread very quickly. We're now over 170,000 acres, but we do have some conditions right now that are favorable for trying to contain the fire. The map on the right is the evacuation zones. The zones that are in red are areas who are under mandatory evacuation orders, and that is all of the Huntington Lake, Shaver Lake, Auberry, Toll House, Burro Valley, and then up in the high Sierras to Courtright and Washon reservoirs. Are all under mandatory evacuation. You see a little bit of an overlay of the fire. That red line shows you where the fire is, and then the red is everyone who's under mandatory. And this goes into Madera County as well. And then the yellow are evacuation warnings, and that's in the Fresno County side. Prather is essentially that area. So from about where 168 the roundabout and on 168 where Morgan Canyon gets up to Prather, and then all the way down almost to Millerton is the area that's under an evacuation warning. And so lots and lots of people have had to be evacuated, and some of them have lost their homes, some of them will find that their homes are damaged, and then just a lot of people had to leave their homes at the risk of having the fire get there. So there's had to be a significant coordinated response across Fresno County to deal with all of this. So essentially an emergency operations center was formed by Fresno County, and this is led by our Office of Emergency Services in the Department of Public Health. And we have twice daily calls there where we have a very coordinated effort around everything from the communication centers that are in the high Sierras that are radio and television, and some of the communication of emergency medical systems is reliant upon. That's up in the Meadow Lakes area and the Music area. Those are both big areas where a lot of firefighting activity is happening to preserve those. We have CAL FIRE on the line. We have the Sheriff's Department. CAL FIRE is responsible for everything related to the fire incident, and the Sheriff's Department is responsible for all of the evacuation and then protecting property and such. And they also manage the road closures. And then Public Works is involved for water supply and roads and all of that. Department of Social Services oversees care and shelter, and that's in coordination with the Red Cross. And in response to that, our department is also supporting through the Care and Shelter Evacuation Center that's at Granite Ridge Intermediate School on the Clovis North campus. We have staff there that are providing behavioral health supports to individuals who've had to evacuate from the fire. And so lots and lots of tremendously coordinated activity, including sheltering of animals. So at the Granite Ridge site in the wrestling gym, there's a lot of dogs and cats. And then at the Clovis rodeo grounds, as well as some private stables and such, and the Fresno Fairgrounds, they're taking large animals as well as rabbits and chickens and things like that. We were on a call this morning, and there's everything from zebras to camels to llamas to buffalo, as well as cows and horses and goats and sheep and all the usual farm animals that have been evacuated from the area. And then for some people who had large animals grazing, there's also supports to ensure that water and food and such gets to them in those evacuated areas that maybe haven't had fire yet. So a lot of activity going on, a lot of teamwork. The community's been incredibly responsive, and that's been great to see. And so I did want to show you some pictures of the Granite Ridge area. So we have behavioral health staff there. They've worked hard under the leadership of Jolie Gordon-Brower and Karen Toombs, who's our nurse manager, are overseeing. We have a large volunteer contingent of individuals who are manning that site. I was there yesterday, and I can tell you that they're dealing with some really difficult situations and doing it really well. They've created a space for confidential telehealth on campus there for individuals who need to have that telehealth while they're evacuated, and they're also helping to support finding people hotel rooms and places to stay, and also assisting them with pets and that type of thing. We know, especially for the people we serve, we've experienced this, that pets are really important to people, and when they've been evacuated and they're under that terrible anxiety about what might have happened to their home or what might happen to their home, having their pets nearby or knowing they're cared for is really important. So that's on site. And then on the far right, you see a picture. The Clovis Hills Church has a huge donation area, and there's a lot of RVs in the parking lot. And so we went ahead and put a sign over there so that individuals seeking support there would also know that behavioral health services are available over at that evacuation center. I'm showing you this picture. This is from my backyard. The top picture is in April. The middle picture is Tuesday, and by this morning, the bottom picture, that kind of shows you what the smoke is like in the foothills right now. So air quality is really bad. We're strongly encouraging people to stay inside for that reason. It's unhealthy air. Yet one more reason to follow our COVID guidelines and wear your mask. Maybe now the people who weren't going to wear their mask will wear their masks because of the smoke, and also staying inside. So what can you do to wrap this up? First of all, be really proud of our teams, both county-wide and our department. The teamwork, the collaboration, the coordination that has come together is such a testament to all of the relationships and the work that's been done in the past to lay the groundwork, the foundation to be able to respond to such an immense incident as what we're experiencing with the Creek Fire on top of COVID-19. Keep taking care of yourself and your loved ones. Stay inside, wear your mask, follow your COVID guidelines, but also take care of yourself with the smoke. Support each other and your teammates and your coworkers. Everyone's under stress. Everyone's working hard. We know that some of our county colleagues have lost homes in the fire. This is going to go on for a while, and we really need to support one another. And then again, just another reminder to find ways to separate work from home when you're teleworking. Take scheduled breaks, go for a walk, do some of that exercise that I sent out last week. Don't forget to take care of yourself. I know for myself, my home is pretty near the evacuation zone, and I found myself feeling a little overwhelmed this week, and I really had to work hard to focus and do what I needed to do. And so we're all in the same boat here. We all have to really approach our self-care and realize that we have to make sure that we're okay in order to be okay for those around us. And so that is even more critically important as we deal with this second disaster. So with that, I'm going to take questions. Yep, someone said that some homes have been looted. Yeah, the sheriff has actually arrested a few people for some unfortunate behavior related to the fire, and they are patrolling in that area both to keep people looky-loos and people who just want to see what happened to their home when it's really dangerous to go up there right now. When homes or structures burn down, even just in the forest burning down, there could be hazardous material and dangerous situations. So we really have to trust the CAL FIRE, our firefighters, to let us know when it's safe to enter an area. And then, yeah, unfortunately, people take advantage of situations like this, and our sheriff's department is working really hard to mitigate that. And then a question about if we had to evacuate, our time may be covered. I'm not really sure about that. That's something that we'll have to look into, is if you're in an area of evacuation, what would the consequence be on your leave time and such? We'll have to get back to you on that one. That's not one that I have an answer to right away. I don't see any other questions, so I'm going to keep this short. Take care of yourself, stay indoors, know and trust that you have a county-wide response that's working really hard in a very coordinated and organized fashion. This creek fire will take some time to get under control, but they are doing everything they can to ensure the safety of the people in our community and people visiting our community, as well as the structures and the infrastructure. I've been so impressed, and that really, I hope, will provide you with some reassurance that while it can feel really overwhelming as we go through these disasters, we have teammates, co-workers, family and friends that are really working hard and doing a phenomenal job, just like all of you are. And so I do want to once again thank all of you for your hard work, your perseverance. I know these are not easy times. They're not easy for me either. I've got the COVID creek fire hairstyle today, the easy put your hair in a ponytail day, as a result of that. But we're going to get through this. We have a lot of resilience ourselves, and we have each other, and we are going to get through this. So hang in there, and I'll be back next week. See you then.